Hey guys, so today I'm part of a huge collaboration and I'm super excited to be bringing this video to you today, especially in light of current circumstances with a lot of families who are choosing homeschool for this next upcoming school year. Today we are talking about common homeschooling myths and we are just sharing our experience with debunking those myths. So if you guys are interested in this video, give it a thumbs up and stick around. So a lot of the parents who are sharing in today's playlist are going to be sharing an in-depth look at a particular homeschooling myth. I was having a hard time nailing them down. I feel like I just have talked about so much over the years that I didn't want to sound like a broken record. So what I decided to do was just share, just kind of off the cuff, the top 3 that I hear most often. And the 3 that I'm going to share today are kind of spoken defensively, like they're just like a personal disqualification, like when they hear I homeschool. So I wanted to debunk those because for those of you who don't feel like you are cut out to homeschool, you can do it. I want to help you, I want to encourage you. So the first one that I hear from people is I can't homeschool because, and you guys know this one already, my kids need no socialization, or my kids, they can't, they need that social interaction, or how are homeschooled kids socialized, yada yada. We all hear it all the time. Sometimes it's comical, but I actually don't think it's coming from a judgmental place. I think there is a genuine concern because a lot of people have had experience where they feel like kids who are homeschooled just don't see other kids ever. And I do want to give a little bit of credibility to that statement because I think, it's possible. You reap what you sow. So whatever the parents value, sorry, I'm just gonna take my flip-flops off because they're annoying me. Whatever parents value in that home and whatever they put effort toward for their kids is what, it's what's gonna happen. So if, you're not putting forth a lot of effort and responsibility toward certain social engagements for your kids, especially when they're younger, they aren't gonna have those opportunities otherwise. So to speak to that, yes, there is potential for them to get no social interaction. However, there are so many opportunities within the homeschooling world that it would have to have been a personal decision from the parents to not partake in those opportunities. Between volunteer opportunities, homeschooling groups, church settings, co-ops, sports, if there are equal access laws in your state, there are a lot of opportunities to homeschool. So the problem or the concern there, I think, is coming from people who think there are no opportunities just because they've had experience with people who have not had much social engagement in their lifetime. So to debunk that, there are countless opportunities. A lot of the homeschoolers' defense of that myth, so to speak, is that, well, my kids, they might not sit in a classroom all day long, but they do interact with people from, newborns all the way up through the elderly on a regular basis. And it's way more important for kids to interact with, multi-generations and be confident in that and be able to speak to adults and to be able to take care of younger ones. And I totally agree with that statement. That being said, I do think that there is some importance to being in peer groups just because kids around the same age process things kind of the same way, and there is that shared experience of having friends who are close in age. However, I see both sides of that argument. I don't want to go too in depth, but I will say that we don't necessarily participate in co-ops because I can handle math and I can handle reading and I can handle science without needing, the interaction of others. However, I do find value in my kids being in social settings, and so instead of being in co-ops during the day or being in school during the day to learn math or reading, we use that time and that energy and put that toward settings where social interaction is key to that activity. So sports, being on a team, it's key to be in a social setting in order to participate in a sport or to learn a new skill or to learn the idea of being a part of a team. So while they may not be interacting socially as far as school goes, they are interacting socially where I feel like it matters most, which is a team, an activity, a sport, a club, etc. The second thing I hear most often from parents is that they can't homeschool because they're not qualified. And I want to blow that one way out of the water, because who is qualified to teach all subjects well? I mean, nobody really. Teachers have a great opportunity when it comes to education because they themselves have been educated in child development, and they're able to, you know, help kids break through some barriers that they may be having to reach their potential academically, right? Yes, but they're not necessarily all mathematicians and, you know, biologists and historians. They use teacher's guides like we do when we homeschool. So when you homeschool, you're not given a math workbook with no instructions. There's a teacher's guide for everything if you're using a formal curriculum. So to speak to that myth, also remember that as a parent, you are given a place in your kid's life to speak other things that you value as a family, and to give them some really good hands-on opportunities that they might not otherwise have. So if you guys are skilled in a certain area or you value certain things, your kids could be getting potentially a first-hand look at learning that skill. They could be getting, like, essentially sitting under as an apprentice, you know, whatever it is that you value. So teacher's guides, one-on-one interaction, all of that, it really kind of blows that myth right out of the water. One thing I will say though is that I always, when we first started homeschooling, I was concerned about middle and high school. Like, I'm not gonna lie, from the beginning was like, oh, I don't know if we're gonna homeschool all the way through. Now that we are at that middle school age, and it really just feels like an extension of what we've already been doing, the responsibility has not doubled on me. It is a shared responsibility my daughter and I now take together. I'm still teaching the way I was teaching, but I also have higher expectations of her. So, you know, it really has been a smooth transition. It's not overwhelming as far as the responsibility goes. You know, now we're just setting her up to take a little bit of the responsibility for her own education instead of me, you know, teaching everything all the time and closely monitoring her work as if she was in elementary school. So as they get older, it doesn't necessarily get much harder. And then the last myth I hear often is the I'm not enough. I'm not patient enough. I'm not organized enough. I'm not structured enough. And to speak to that, none of us were when we started homeschooling. Patience, organization, structure, our kids' individual personalities and needs, that is a learned process. It's something that we are constantly being refined by our lack of patience and our need for the Lord and our need for patience. We could be the best at organization, but it might not be the kind of organization that really benefits our kids. So it is just a trial by fire. It is working together, adapting constantly. You know, we're in a completely different place from where we started, and I thought our setup initially was great, but as my kids have gotten older and as I've learned new skills and new, you know, just new things that would benefit our homeschool, we adapt. And so nobody is, you know, ready to just jump right out of the gate and be the perfect homeschooling mom because they were patient, super organized, super structured. It really is just a learning process, and it's a beautiful experience to learn alongside of our kids and to adapt to their needs and the needs of our home. So those are the top 3 myths that I hear most often. Like I said, I think those are all personal disqualifications from people who are concerned that they really couldn't do it. So I hope that helped you guys if you're gonna be homeschooling this year. Give it a thumbs up if you did. And in the comments down below, let me know what the common myths are that you hear. Make sure you pop through that playlist. Thank you girls for including me, and I will see you guys later. Bye.